When students are eligible to receive special education services, they have an IEP, or an Individualized Education Plan. Once a student has been evaluated, the process of getting the IEP has already begun, but there's still a lot to learn about how the process works and what the role of the parents are in this educational partnership. I am here today with Tammy Burns, Family Support Specialist of the Parent Educational Advocacy Training Center, or PEATC, to discuss PEATC and some upcoming parenting opportunities that can assist and demystify this process. Welcome, Tammy.
Thanks, Amy.
So, Tammy, can you just give me an overview of what PEATC does and how it specifically supports families of students with disabilities?
Sure. So PEATC is a statewide nonprofit, and it's funded in part by a federal grant under IDEA special ed law, and also some funding from the Virginia Department of Ed. And we are out there to help empower families through all kinds of processes, but especially the IEP process. We do phone consults and email consults for free. Parents can contact us and they have questions about something, and they say, "Heck, can you help me?" We help them walk through those things. And we also offer free workshops out for parents and educators in the community to really empower people to be able to better advocate for their child.
That sounds fantastic. I know families a lot of times are looking for answers. So if I'm a family, if I'm a parent of a child that's recently received an IEP, or my child has an IEP and gosh, there have been some changes,
Right.
What advice would you give me?
I would say, a couple big things that I always say to parents. One is, don't be afraid to ask questions. As this process is going, if you're new or even if you've been in it a while and something comes up, don't be afraid to stop everything and just ask questions. Make sure you understand what's being shared with you. Evaluation, what that means, or what are you talking about when you say goals and objectives. But just don't be afraid to ask those questions and to get clarification, so you really feel like you have the knowledge to help your child through that process. And then one other big thing I think is to always keep the end in mind. As parents, we have our child for a lifetime, and we want to make sure that those IEPs that we're getting from grade 3 to grade 4 go with what's going on in grade 8 and 9, and we're trying to get to an end so that they all add up to something. So start with the end in mind. Where do you want your child to be when they finish high school? And then how do we get there from where we are today? So those two big things I think are really important.
And really applicable to regardless of how your child is served.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So there's really an exciting opportunity coming up. IEPs from A to Z that PEATC is offering in partnership with the FACE office. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so twice a month, one time in the morning and one time in the evening, just to make it open so people can work their schedules around it. We're going to be offering an IEP from A to Z workshop, and so families can sign up and come and attend either or both, all of the offerings, and have a chance to really get some information about IEPs, some basic information and a great understanding of what's next, but also to be able to ask questions and to be able to connect with other parents here in Chesterfield County that might have some great knowledge to share as well.
So specific topics, and you mentioned kind of from A to Z. Could you highlight some of those?
So talking about things before the IEP. So what's a meeting notice, and what does that mean, and what kind of information does that give me, all the way through things during the IEP. So goals and objectives, placement, related services, speech. What do I do if I think my child needs more speech or has behavior issues, and all of those topics that happen within an IEP, and then things after the IEP. So what happens if I don't agree with what has happened, or what happens if I feel like we need to come back to the table. So really just working through all pieces of that and covering all kinds of topics that could come up in between there.
Talk about really being able to fill your toolkit with useful information.
Exactly.
So how do I get connected to what PEATC has going on and then to these courses?
Sure. Well, PEATC, you can always check out our website, which is PEATC.org, PEATC.org. And for this, the IEP from A to Z, there's a website, and I think it's going to be shown here on the bottom of the screen somewhere. And you can click right in there and get all the information, see all the dates, and register right from there.
fantastic, Tammy. Thank you so much for all you do in the community
Thank
and our
you.
school division to support our families and our students. And thanks for coming today and
Yeah.
sharing your expertise. I'm looking forward to this opportunity.
Great.
And thank you for joining us on Engage Chesterfield.